My God moment isn't one big moment or epiphany where I saw a flash of heaven and was healed. Rather, it's a series of reminders that Jesus is with me on a regular basis. The unique thing about my experience with Jesus is that this condition that I like to say he blessed me with is something that I understand is a lifelong battle that I'm willing to take on. Beginning freshman year of high school, I started struggling with anxiety, and it came out of nowhere. And little did I know, it'd be something I'd struggle with for the rest of my life. For those of you that don't struggle with anxiety, it's different than being nervous for a test or a performance. It can take over your mind and body at any time it wants. I was too young at the time to really fully understand what it was and why I wasn't feeling myself. I was very social, blessed to grow up in a stable household, but for some reason, I was given anxiety. Now, the tough part about anxiety, especially as a kid, is that it's an illness that you can't see. Therefore, sometimes it's hard to understand or admit or diagnose. And it's also extremely difficult for others to understand as well. So I went through high school hiding it. Thank God, my mom and dad, who were my rock and cheerleaders, encouraged me to go to school every day, even when my stomach was in knots. It was frustrating to be an outgoing person who loved school and being around people and have this Achilles heel that no one could see. Being social, loving public speaking, and being a performer on the dance team were not very conducive to living a life with anxiety. It was truly a full-time job hiding it and feeling confused and embarrassed. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to attend a small Catholic school with an awesome group of teachers and administrators who were well aware of the issue. They prayed for me and gave me a pass to leave at any time, to sit in the counselor's office and pray or deep breathe in the bathroom. I am forever grateful for that. As I grew up and went to college, it seemed like there was less of a stigma around mental health. And what I found was being courageous and admitting my struggle connected me with people I never would have connected with or met before. I say I'm blessed with anxiety because it gives me the ability to spot someone else who struggles with it from a mile away. It's amazing how calm I become when I just level set with other people that I get anxious or that it might come up out of nowhere and I might have to step out of this meeting or party at any time. And as I grow in my professional career in business development, you can imagine this happens quite often. And there are many times where staying at home would be the easiest option, but that's not what God put me on this earth to do. Through this vulnerability and transparency, I realized how not only wonderful and supportive people are, but how many other people struggle with the same thing I do and may either be too afraid to admit it or not even be aware of it. It's interesting that I never had a traumatic event or a trigger that caused my anxiety, so my only answer is that it came from the heavens. Whenever things seem to be going great, I think Jesus is bringing me back down to earth and reminding me that I can't do this without him, and that others can't do this alone either, so I need to be his disciple and help them through it as well. So we talked about how my anxiety came to be and why Jesus decided to give it to me. But we all know that he brings purpose to struggle and pain, and then he carries us through it. How does he carry me through it? He sent me a guardian angel. To make an incredibly long story semi-short, I am on this earth today because of my great aunt, Sister Rita. Sister Rita devoted her life to God. She joined a convent in Milwaukee at the age of 12, leaving her home and family in a small town in northern Wisconsin. She took on the vow of poverty and was one of the kindest and most faithful and charitable people who absolutely adored Mother Mary. Now, of course, this was all before I was born. When my mom and dad were newly married and graduated from college during the recession of 1984, my dad, Mike Moore, sent out 250 resumes to companies around the country for construction jobs and had no luck. Sister Rita called and said, "Mike, I have someone who owns a construction company and he's looking for a young and eager employee. Why don't you come down and meet him?" Next thing you know, my dad picked up and moved to Milwaukee where he started this job. And while my mom was still in Eau Claire packing, he lived as a 22-year-old in the convent for 2 weeks with Sister Rita. When my mom came down, Rita was not only the only person they knew, but their only friend. They trusted that she moved them down there for a reason and that everything would be okay. They had no money, no connections, and Mike was 22 starting at a new company. Little did he know, 2 years later, he and another employee would start a company of their own. Flash forward 25 years, in 2007, Rita passed away. She appeared healthy. She took the bus to the inner city like she did weekly, where she tutored at a school. She checked in, collapsed and died right in front of a statue of Mother Mary. After her funeral, we were reminiscing about her and how she's the reason we are where we are today. And we were telling the story of how she played with us at our house oftentimes. To keep my siblings and I occupied, my parents had a toy cash register that they'd fill with pennies. Now, she took the vow of poverty very seriously. So when she came over, she would say, "My oh my, you are so lucky that you can just play with real pennies like they're toys." Shortly after her funeral, my dad wanted to start a company on his own. While reflecting on his next steps at our kitchen table, customers started calling. That's when he decided to start more construction services. He graduated from our table, just closed on a new building, and the next week the stock market crashed and we went into the recession of 2008. So here's a man who moved to Milwaukee, worked his whole life to co-own and now own a business. And he's now realizing it was an extremely difficult time to start a company, especially in construction. This timeline in 2008 lines up perfectly to when my anxiety started, as I was a freshman in high school that year in 2008. Mind you, my anxiety was entirely unrelated to my dad's situation because I was too young to know what was going on in the economy. But it shows that whether it's anxiety or owning a new business in an economic downturn, Jesus comforts us through our own individual and unique struggles. That's when Sister Rita started sending down pennies from heaven. Pennies started appearing to my mom and dad at first, and they didn't see the message. The pennies would appear in the most random places, on a chair, in a cup holder, a shelf, at our toe, under a plate at a restaurant, or in the dirt on a job site. They finally caught on that it was Rita. And I kid you not, when this would happen, a customer would call my dad for a potential project. That's when I started getting the pennies too. I'd be in a classroom anxious and wanting to go home, or on an airplane feeling trapped, and I'd look down and there it was. Now, like I stated before, my anxiety never went away, just like finding a penny didn't fix the scary economic downturn. But I believe Jesus sent her to us to tell us, "I'm here, it's okay to struggle, you will grow from this." It's now 2020, and we all know that's brought on its own set of struggles, and she keeps sending down pennies to us from the heavens to assure us that everything will be okay. I'm now blessed to work at this company that Rita helped us build. And as I've grown and become more open with my anxiety, I share the stories with others about the pennies, and they experience it oftentimes too. Someone very close to me last week was just diagnosed with cancer. And he was walking rapidly through a grocery store, looked down and saw the shiniest penny from the year 2020 at his toe. Don't believe me? No, we can't use these as toys in the cash register. I share this story because I believe God moments can be big or small. Mine is monthly, if not a weekly occurrence. And I firmly believe it's His reminder that we can't live without Him, and that He wants me to serve others on this earth like He and Sister Rita have served and supported me.